I'll write Chapter 1. First contact of your HFY story in approximately 800 words using simple English and third-person style with simple Korean names. Here's the story. Soo-min stood frozen at her monitoring station, eyes wide as the speakers filled the room with an otherworldly sound. It wasn't static. It wasn't random noise. It had patterns, clear, repeating patterns that no natural phenomenon could create. Director Han, you need to hear this, she called out, her voice cracking with excitement. The Deep Space Listening Post had been operating for 15 years without a single significant detection. Located in the remote mountains of South Korea, it was one of 12 such stations around the world, all listening to the stars, all hoping for the signal that would change human history forever. Director Han hurried over, his usual calm demeanor, replaced by barely contained anticipation. He put on the headphones Soo-min offered and listened. "Where's it coming from?" he asked, removing the headphones after a full minute. "Alpha Centauri system," Soo-min replied. "The signal strength is unlike anything we've recorded before. This isn't some faint whisper from the void. They want to be heard." Director Han nodded slowly. "Call the team, all of them, and inform the Global Space Agency immediately." Within hours, the small mountain facility transformed into a hive of activity. Scientists from across Korea arrived first, followed quickly by international experts. Among them was Dr. Jun-ho, Earth's leading expert in communication theory. "The signal contains mathematical sequences," Jun-ho explained during the first briefing. "Prime numbers, the value of pi, basic atomic structures. These are universal, constants, a foundation for communication." For 3 days, the team worked without rest. The world leaders had decided to keep the discovery secret until they understood more, but rumors had already begun to spread. On the 4th day, Jun-ho made the breakthrough. "It's a language primer followed by a message," he announced, his voice hoarse from exhaustion. "They're teaching us how to understand them, step by step." As the translation became clearer, so did the message's urgency. It wasn't a friendly greeting from a curious civilization. It was a warning. "They're coming here," Jun-ho said, his face pale. "Not the ones sending this message. They're warning us about others. Someone called the Drakari." The world leaders finally went public with the news. Humanity had made contact with alien intelligence, but the first words from the stars were words of danger. 2 weeks later, strange lights appeared in the night sky. Too bright to be stars, too steady to be planets. They grew larger each night. Earth's most powerful telescopes focused on them, revealing shapes that defied conventional engineering. Massive ships, approaching from exactly the direction the warning had come from. But they weren't the Drakari. They called themselves the Lumini, and they had sent the message. The first landing occurred on neutral ground, a specially prepared site in international waters of the Pacific Ocean. 5 human representatives waited there, including Soo-min, whose detection had started everything. The alien ship descended silently, hovering above the platform before extending a walkway. 3 tall beings emerged. They walked upright but had forearms and skin that seemed to shimmer with inner light. Their faces had features reminiscent of humans. Eyes, something like a nose, a mouth, but arranged differently. "We greet the people of Earth," the central figure said, its voice translated through a device it carried. "We have traveled far to reach you." Gi-ho, the chosen speaker for humanity, stepped forward. "We welcome you to Earth and thank you for your warning. Are these Drakari already on their way?" "Yes," the alien replied. "They follow a pattern. They send scouts first, then conquerors. You have perhaps one of your Earth years before they arrive. We have come to help prepare you." "Why would you help us?" asked Mi-Ray, another human representative. "You don't know us." The alien made a gesture with its upper arms. "We have observed your world for some time. Your species has potential. You are resourceful, adaptive. The Drakari have conquered many worlds, but few have your particular qualities." "What qualities?" asked Gi-ho. You fight when others would surrender. You find solutions where others see only problems. And despite your divisions, you can unite when truly threatened. The alien paused. The Drakari believe themselves invincible because they have never faced a species like yours. That night, as Earth's governments began emergency meetings, Sumin stood alone on the deck of the ship carrying the human delegation, watching the stars. Among them now was the unmistakable light of the Lumini vessel. Everything changes now, she whispered to herself. Everything. In orbit above her, hidden from Earth's detection systems, a small scout ship watched. Inside, creatures with scaled skin and eyes adapted to the darkness of deep space studied the meeting that had taken place. The Drakari advance force had arrived earlier than the Lumini had predicted, and they were very, very interested in this new species called humans. I'll write Chapter 2. The galactic stage of your HFY story in approximately 800 words, using simple English and third-person style, with simple Korean names as requested. 3. Months after the Lumini landing, the United Nations Space Council had transformed the International Space Station into a diplomatic hub. Today would mark humanity's first meeting with the Galactic Concordat, an alliance of 17 spacefaring species. Jin-Ho adjusted his formal uniform nervously. As Earth's lead diplomat, he carried an enormous responsibility. Beside him stood Colonel Do-Yun, representing Earth's military interests, and Dr. Subin, Earth's foremost xenobiologist. Remember, Jin-Ho told his colleagues, we are equals at this table. We may be new to interstellar politics, but we are not beggars or children. The airlock cycled open. 4 distinct alien species entered. The crystalline Lumini they had already met, plus 3 new forms. The reptilian Vex with their 4 eyes, the insectoid Talari hovering on buzzing wings, and the Modani, who resembled walking tree trunks. Earth welcomes the Concordat, Jin-Ho said, bowing slightly. The Modani representative stepped forward. We observe your world with great interest, it said, its voice rumbling like stones rolling downhill. Your technological advancement is unusual. Unusual? Asked Do-Yun. The Talari's wings vibrated rapidly. Most species take 3,000 years to advance from basic tools to space travel. You achieved it in less than 400. The human delegation exchanged glances. This was not the reaction they had expected. Is rapid advancement considered negative? Subin asked carefully. It raises questions, the Vex hissed, its forked tongue flicking between scaled lips. Questions about outside influence. Jin-Ho frowned. I assure you we developed our technology ourselves. Indeed, the Lumini agreed. We have monitored Earth for centuries. Their progress, while remarkable, appears natural to their species. The meeting continued for hours. The humans learned about faster-than-light travel, the complex political landscape of the galaxy, and the true extent of the Drakari threat. The hegemony had conquered 14 systems in the past decade alone. During a brief recess, Subin approached Jin-Ho with concern in her eyes. They're hiding something. Have you noticed how they avoid certain topics, like how the Concordat makes decisions or what happened to other species that faced the Drakari? Jin-Ho nodded slowly. I noticed. I think they're assessing us. For what purpose? To determine if we're worth saving, Colonel Do-Yun said, joining them, or if we're merely useful cannon fodder. When the meeting resumed, Jin-Ho changed tactics. We appreciate the information you've shared, he began, but now we must discuss Earth's role in the Concordat. What exactly do you expect from us? The aliens grew quiet. Finally, the Modani spoke. Your system sits at a strategic location. The Drakari must secure it to continue their expansion toward the galactic core. You want us to slow them down, Do-Yun stated flatly. To bleed them while the rest of you prepare. The Vex hissed in what might have been surprise. Your species is direct. Yes, Earth would serve as a defensive position. And what do we receive in return? Jin-Ho asked. Technology, protection, full membership in your Concordat? Limited technology transfers, The Talari buzzed. Enough to improve your defensive capabilities. Subin leaned forward. Not good enough. We need full access to your medical and agricultural advances. We need weapons that can match the Drakari. And we need guarantees that Earth won't be abandoned. The aliens seemed taken aback by the humans' boldness. They had expected gratitude, perhaps even submission. Instead, they faced determined negotiators who refused to be manipulated. Your species truly is unusual, the Lumini observed. Most would accept any terms when facing extinction. Humans don't accept extinction as an option, Jinho replied calmly. We will fight with or without you. But with proper alliance terms, we all benefit. The negotiations extended late into the night. By the time they concluded, Earth had secured far better terms than the Concordat had initially offered. As the alien delegation prepared to leave, the Vex approached Jinho privately. You should know, it whispered. The Drakari scouts are already in your system. They've been watching since before the Lumine arrived. Jinho's blood ran cold. Why tell me this? The Vex's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. Because your world might actually stand a chance. And that would be interesting to witness. As the alien delegation departed, Earth's representatives gathered, in silence. The galaxy was larger, more complex, and more dangerous than they had imagined. But one thing had become clear. Humanity would not be a footnote in galactic history. They would write their own chapter, starting now. Somewhere beyond Neptune's orbit, a Drakari scout ship adjusted its course. The commander had seen enough. It was time to test these humans directly. The warning from the Vex proved true. Just 2 weeks after the Concordat delegation departed, Earth's outer system sensors detected movement. Silent objects, moving with purpose, were approaching from beyond Neptune's orbit. Minho stared at the tactical display aboard the EDS Dauntless, Earth's first true warship. Built with both human ingenuity and limited Concordat technology, it represented humanity's best hope against what was coming. 5 vessels confirmed, reported Ye Jin, the sensor specialist. Configuration matches Drakari scout ships, just as the Lumini described. Captain Minho nodded grimly. All hands to battle stations. Inform Earth Command that first contact with Drakari forces is imminent. The Dauntless wasn't alone. 4 smaller vessels, converted civilian ships hastily outfitted with weapons, formed Earth's first defensive fleet. They had positioned themselves near Jupiter, using the gas giant's massive gravity well as part of their strategy. Remember your training, Minho told his nervous crew. We may be new to space warfare, but we've been fighting on Earth for thousands of years. The principles remain the same. The Drakari approached with confidence. Their long-range scans had shown primitive vessels with minimal shielding. This would be a simple demonstration of force, standard procedure when assessing new species. What the Drakari didn't know was that a Lumini observer ship lurked nearby, watching silently. The crystalline beings had placed bets among themselves about how quickly the humans would fall. Enemy ships accelerating, Yejin announced. They're launching smaller craft. Minho smiled. Perfect. They're following textbook invasion procedure. Execute Operation Hornet's Nest. The Earth fleet scattered in what appeared to be panic. The Drakari, sensing easy prey, pursued eagerly. Their smaller attack craft zoomed ahead, weapons charging. Now, Minho ordered. From Jupiter's moons, hidden, platforms activated. Not weapons. Humans lacked the technology for effective long-range space weapons, but rather powerful electromagnetic pulse generators, based on designs shared by the Concordat, but modified by Earth engineers. The pulses hit the smaller Drakari, craft first. Their systems flickered and failed. Suddenly dead in space, they began drifting toward Jupiter's crushing gravity. Phase 2, Minho said calmly. The Earth vessels turned sharply, revealing hidden weapon ports. While their main systems were primitive by galactic standards, humans had excelled at one thing: kinetic weapons. Rails of magnetized metal accelerated, simple projectiles to incredible speeds. The first barrage of metal slugs tore through the nearest Drakari ship before its shields could fully engage. The alien vessel vented atmosphere and spun away, crippled. Aboard the Lumini observation vessel, the aliens watched in shock. "Impossible," one whispered. "They're using our defensive technology in ways we never considered." The lead Drakari ship, realizing this wasn't going to be an easy victory, attempted to retreat. But the humans had anticipated this. Two Earth vessels, hiding in Jupiter's radiation shadow, emerged and blocked the escape route. "Impressive for primitives," the Drakari commander hissed. "But still primitives." The alien vessel fired its main weapon, a beam of concentrated plasma that could melt through meters of hull plating. It struck one of the human ships, which exploded instantly. Minho watched his tactical display as the light representing the EDS Valiant vanished. 63 humans gone in an instant. He gripped his command chair tightly. "All vessels execute. Operation Anvil," he ordered, voice steady despite his rage. The remaining Earth ships coordinated their movements perfectly. The Drakari, unused to such organized resistance from a primitive species, found themselves herded toward Jupiter's largest moon. When the trap closed, it was decisive. Hidden missile batteries on the moon's surface launched simultaneously. These weren't the crude nuclear weapons of old Earth, but new hybrid designs. Human explosive power guided by concordant targeting systems. Within minutes, the engagement was over. 3 Drakari ships destroyed, 1 crippled and drifting, and 1 fleeing back toward deep space. The cost had been high. 1 Earth ship destroyed, another badly damaged. But humanity had achieved what the Concordat thought impossible. Victory against Drakari forces. On the Lumini observation vessel, the aliens sent an urgent message to their homeworld. The humans weren't just worth saving. They might be the key to defeating the Drakari once and for all. As the Dauntless limped back toward Earth, Minho stared out at the stars. This was just the beginning, he told his exhausted crew. But now they know. Humans don't surrender easily. News of humanity's victory against the Drakari scout force spread quickly through the Concordat. What had seemed impossible, a newly spacefaring species successfully repelling Drakari attackers, had actually happened. Within days, representatives from a dozen alien civilizations arrived at Earth's hastily constructed orbital diplomatic station Jisoo. A brilliant engineer who had helped develop the hybrid weapons used in the Jupiter battle, found herself unexpectedly thrust into the role of technological ambassador. The aliens wanted to understand how humans had modified their defensive designs so effectively. "I don't understand why you're all so impressed," Jisoo told a group of Talari engineers, their insect-like forms hovering around her workstation. "We simply applied basic physics principles to your shield technology." The lead Talari engineer's antennae twitched, and what Jisoo had learned indicated surprise. "But the power requirements should have been impossible for your current generation." "Capacity." Jisoo smiled and pulled up a schematic. "We didn't try to power the shields constantly like your designs do. We created a cycling system that predicts impact and diverts power only where needed. When needed." The alien studied her design in silence. Finally, one spoke. "We have used the same shield configuration for 300 years. It never occurred to us to question its fundamental design." This scene repeated itself throughout Earth's growing space installations. Human innovations, born from necessity and limited resources, repeatedly surprised the more technologically advanced species. Where the Concordat had settled into established patterns over centuries, humans approached every problem with fresh eyes. Meanwhile, in the diplomatic sphere, Hajun faced a different kind of challenge. As Earth's chief intelligence officer, he had been tasked with understanding the complex politics of the Galactic Concordat. Something didn't add up. "The Concordat has vastly superior technology and numbers compared to the Drakari," he told his small team. "Yet they've been losing ground for decades. Why?" His assistant, Seo Jin, had been analyzing communications between Concordat species. "I think I found something. When they discuss battle plans, they always defer to He species with the longest history of space travel. Newer members never challenge the established wisdom, even when it fails." Hajun nodded slowly. "A hierarchy based on seniority rather than merit. And as the newest members, we'd be expected To follow orders without question, Seojin finished, even if those orders amount to suicide missions. Their suspicions were confirmed when Hajun attended a Concordat Defense Council meeting. The Modani representative outlined a strategy that would position Earth's new fleet directly in the path of the expected Drakari counterattack. Your ships will engage the enemy here, the walking tree-like alien indicated on the star map, while our main forces prepare a flanking maneuver. Hajun studied the plan carefully. This position leaves Earth forces completely exposed. The Drakari would destroy us before your flanking maneuver could begin. The Modani's bark-like skin rippled in what might have been irritation. The strategy was developed by our finest military minds, species who have been fighting in space while humans were still using stone tools. Instead of backing down, Hajun walked to the display and began adjusting the battle plan. If we position forces here and here instead, we create a much stronger defensive line. Your flanking forces would have time to engage effectively. The room fell silent. No new species had ever directly challenged a Concordat battle plan. The Vex representative, who had been watching quietly, suddenly hissed with what sounded like laughter. The human is right. Their plan is superior. What followed was unprecedented. A junior species tactical assessment was adopted over traditional doctrine. As the meeting ended, the Lumini representative approached Hajun privately. You should know, the crystalline being said quietly, that many in the Concordat now look to Earth with both hope and fear. Your species thinks differently than ours. Some see this as an asset, others as a threat. As Hajun departed, he wondered which group would ultimately determine humanity's place in the galaxy. One thing was certain, Earth would not simply follow, it would lead, even if that meant challenging traditions thousands of years old. 6 months after the battle at Jupiter, Earth had transformed. Space became humanity's new frontier, not just for exploration, but for survival. Orbital shipyards, constructed vessels that combined human ingenuity with Concordat technology. Below, unified nations worked together with a single purpose, preparing for the Drakari counterattack that everyone knew was coming. Admiral Sunmi stood on the bridge of the EDS Defiance, Earth's new flagship. Unlike the hastily converted vessels of the First Fleet, this ship had been built for war from the keel up. Around her, a mixed crew of humans and aliens worked with practiced efficiency. Fleet status report, Sunmi ordered. Her executive officer, Jiho, checked his console. All 27 Earth vessels report ready. The Lumine and Vex contingents are in formation. The Modani are still aligning their position. Sunmi nodded. The Modani, despite their ancient civilization, struggled with the rapid maneuvers that human tacticians had introduced to Concordat battle doctrine. The Drakari fleet has been detected crossing the Kuiper Belt, announced the sensor officer. 87 ships, 3 times our combined strength. Everyone on the bridge fell silent. This wasn't a scout force. This was a full invasion fleet. The communication officer turned suddenly. Admiral, incoming transmission from Earth Command. They've made the decision. Sunmi took a deep breath. Put it through. The weathered face of General Tae-Wan appeared on screen. The weapon is ready, Admiral. You are authorized to proceed with Operation Sunburst. For 3 months, Earth's best scientists had worked alongside Concordat engineers to develop something no one had attempted before. A weapon that targeted the unique crystal lattice structure of Drakari ship hulls. It was untested in actual combat, and using it meant revealing a strategic advantage that could never be used again. Understood, Sunmi replied. We'll proceed as planned. As the transmission ended, Jiho approached her privately. The Concordat representatives still don't know about Sunburst, do they? Sunmi shook her head. Only the Vex. The others would have insisted on committee reviews and testing that would have delayed deployment by months. Sometimes it's better to ask forgiveness than permission, Jiho said with a slight smile. As the Drakari fleet approached, Sunmi implemented the battle plan. Earth's ships took positions that appeared scattered and vulnerable, a tempting target for the overconfident enemy. The Drakari commander, eager to avenge the earlier defeat, ordered his fleet to advance at full speed. Their scanners showed primitive vessels with limited shielding, an easy victory to secure this strategic system. They've taken the bait, Jiho reported, entering optimal range in 30 seconds. Sunmi opened a channel to all Earth vessels. This is Admiral Sunmi. Commence Operation Sunburst on my mark. She paused, watching the enemy formation tighten as they prepared to overwhelm her seemingly disorganized fleet. Mark. Throughout the Earth fleet, special emitters activated simultaneously. They didn't fire projectiles or energy beams. Instead, they broadcast a specific frequency that caused the crystal lattice in Drakari hull material to resonate and then shatter. Ships across the Drakari formation began breaking apart, their hulls cracking like glass. Atmosphere vented into space. Power cores destabilized. What had been a mighty armada became chaos in minutes. Aboard the Lumini command ship, the alien admiral watched in shock. "What have the humans done?" the Vex representative answered calmly. "They found a weakness we never thought to look for. This is why we need them." As the battle concluded, Sunmi received transmissions from across the Concordat fleet, some congratulatory, others wary. The humans had changed the balance of power overnight. No longer were they junior partners to be sacrificed. They had become essential. Later, as the Defiance returned to Earth orbit, Sunmi looked out at her homeworld. In less than 1 year, humanity had gone from isolation to becoming a rising power among the stars. Old rivalries between nations seemed trivial now. Earth had united, not just to survive, but to thrive. The galaxy would never be the same again, and neither would humanity.